Close your eyes. Imagine you work in a large company. Imagine you are responsible for A/B testing there. You did a lot of A/B tests and you failed to properly analyze them. Your company is bankrupt. You're fired. Doesn't sound good, isn't it? And it seems like the best way to avoid that is just to remove an A/B testing. And so the question is, can we do that? And why do we need the A/B testing? Narses, what can you tell us about that?
Hi, Valery. I think we should do A/B testing, and the reason is very simple. This is one of the few the scientific way to check if the effect from the new feature exists.
Is there any other way to do that?
Yes, there is a science called causal inference, and there are a lot of different ways to see if the effect exists and to check if it's real. But I think that the A/B testing is the best one.
Oh, I thought that you would say that we could just hire a prophet and use his supernatural power to predict the result in A/B test. The scientific way, okay, let's stick to that. What do you say, Alex?
I think that A/B testing is very useful tool, but it's not necessary. Each method have their own scope of application, and for example, if you have a lot of small changes, then you can apply A/B testing, and on average you will move in right direction. But if you have one huge change and you want to estimate it, then I believe that A/B testing should be considered only as one of few metrics. For example, you could ask your managers, and it also very useful.
Is there a way that the manager will always say that's a great success because perhaps there is some bonuses or KPIs which depend on the A/B test or these feature results? So, and you said, okay, A/B test results is one of the metrics to look at. Your manager, what he or she will say you about the success is another metric. What else?
If your company is a data-driven company,
which is not very common, to be honest.
Okay, we have some risks applying A/B tests. Also, we have some risks asking some managers, and we should combine these results.
So it's kind of integral metric.
Right, yes, it's an integral metric, and I prefer not to use it, but sometimes we have another chance.
More often than not, basically. Ilda, what do you think? Do we need to A/B test? Well, maybe it's not that smart to expect from people in A/B testing section to tell me, no, don't do that, but still, maybe you will surprise us.
Okay, hi Valery. It seems to me we should conduct A/B testing because it is one way which we can make right solution and assumes to money metric and all metrics. It is necessary for all business company.
Well, it seems like the way I expect it to be is in real life, and we have to perform A/B tests. There are many ways how to do them, and basically all of you've made perfect presentations, and if you'd like to look at them, you could see the link below this video, and maybe you'll tell us what your presentation about, what you want to convey to the audience.
Okay, I will talk about ways to select similar groups for A/B testing and about some difficulties on small data samples. And I tell about the business case which I encountered. It is split system for A/B testing on Russian regions and in the B2B segment.
I've seen your video, and you mentioned that the Bootstrap probably isn't that good as people think it is. Could you say the same thing looking into my eyes?
Okay, Bootstrap is a very good way, but if you work with big samples, but I work with small data samples and it is difficult. We don't always use Bootstrap for this, and we conduct A/B testing with small sensitive effect. And I think that sometimes we can use similar ways, groups for A/B testing.
And as far as I remember, you mentioned the Atkinson index. What Atkinson index is? Why do we need to introduce other metric or other index? Why for?
Atkinson index is a very interesting index. It is index social inequality. It is economic index, and it helps us to find fair or not choose A/B testing groups.
So basically, when we perform an A/B test, what we are looking for, we're looking for a difference in the mean between two groups, right? So there is a group A and some metric, and we look at the mean of this metric, and there is a group B, and we look at the mean of group B metric, and then we look at the difference. But even if we see an increase in difference, it doesn't mean that there is an equality. Maybe we increased the inequality, maybe we decreased the inequality, and that's also very important because if we increase inequality, that means our base is less diverse and there is a more weight for outliers. And if we will take apart the question of ethic, which is also very important, it's quite risky to bet everything on a small amount of your users. So you could also look into increasing diversity, making your maybe user base or something else more stable. So that's Atkinson index. I admire the idea, and as I remember, it's people from what company?
It is article from LinkedIn company. It is a very interesting article. LinkedIn wanted to find fair or not and the social inequality in the A/B groups in A/B testing.
Thanks. Alex, tell us what you'll tell us about.
I'm going to tell about geometric interpretation of variance reduction technique.
I will interrupt you. That sounds great. The question arises in my head is with only one question. Why do we need to know that?
I'm trying to show that new methods, for example, variance reduction methods, and other can be derived using some fundamental science. And
as far as I remember, what you are talking about in your presentation is quite an interesting topic about the Hilbert dimension. How you pronounce it? Hilbert. That's Hilbert space. Yeah. I wouldn't ask you what the Hilbert space is because I hope that the people would pay attention to your presentation. And if you want to find out what Hilbert space is and why do we need that and why do we need a geometric interpretation of variance reduction, look at Alex's presentation. Nurses, what's your topic about?
My presentation is about sequential tests. It's actually a very simple thing. It's a huge family of statistical tests that allow to sequentially test the null hypothesis and without inflating type 1 error.
I've heard that sequential testing and the picking problem is a quite dangerous topic. Is it? Is it true?
Yes, there are a few things that you should know about sequential testing. For example, the first one is when you know the real effect size from the new features that you want to.
How often you know the real?
You never know.
Never know. Okay.
But
good.
If you
good.
know,
But if you know.
But if you know the way to determine it before the A/B test, call me and we will talk about your job at Raiffeisen Bank.
You proved that it's a dangerous topic. And do you use it?
Yes, we are actively working on it.
And who will be fired in case of failure?
I think, as far as I am the head of data science in Raiffeisen Bank, that if something goes wrong, I will be fired.
Do you believe it? Okay. Well, suppose the audience spend time, and suppose they take a look into our presentations, and they even enjoy it. Almost unbelievable, but still believe it. And they found it admirable, interesting, fabulous, whatever the word you would like to print here. But they have questions. Maybe they could ask these questions via social networks or find you out or something like that. But maybe they have a lot of questions, or they want to dive into some details or into some basics of A/B testing. And I have the question for all of you. Where to find information, which books to read, which courses to take, and where to go. What will you tell us about that, Narcissus?
I would recommend several things if we are talking about A/B testing 101. The first one is the book of Ron Kahavi and his team about creating the A/B testing platform in your company.
Who is Ron Kahavi?
He's a very famous enthusiast. I think he was one of the first people who actually made presentations and videos about A/B testing. There are a lot of them on YouTube, so you can easily find them. The second thing that I would recommend is to go through the Yandex tutorial from KDD, and there are a lot of different hacks and also simple things that allow you to do the experimentation in the search engine companies. And the third thing that I think that you should know about is another tutorial from KDD made by LinkedIn and Spotify. It starts from very simple things and goes into the deep forest of A/B testing.
Deep forest, the peril forest, I think.
And also, finally, if you want to know about some advanced methods, the new ones, you should read papers.
Space. Okay. Well, I think that KDD is very well known for high-quality tutorials. No wonder that you could find almost everything there. And maybe Ron Kahavi, where did he work? Where maybe does he work?
As far as I remember, he worked on Microsoft. He worked on Bing, the search engine, and then he switched his team.
And like LinkedIn is a part of Microsoft, right? So a lot of A/B testing coming from that corner of the world. And Alex, what you could suggest, what could you advise, what source of information for a person who is starving for knowledge in A/B testing?
A/B testing is closely connected with fundamental
I thought with Hilbert Space.
Also with Hilbert Space, so I can recommend to read a fundamental course or also attend some schools. For example, there are few schools in Russia where you can learn data science or applied statistics.
Well, data science is a broad field because in data science it could be computer vision or it could be in SQL, could be whatever. And applied math or applied stats?
Applied stats.
Applied stats.
Applied probability theory
So
also.
discrete probability, applied combinatorics, perhaps?
A bit.
Okay, thanks. And Ildar, what's your suggestion?
It seems to me I would recommend it, to read the article in this my talking.
The good part about Ildar's presentation that in his talk he has provided the links for papers and articles he has been using during the presentation, and I strongly suggest for everyone who is making a presentation using some papers, articles, just put all the references. It just makes life so easy. Good job.
I would recommend to learn in the university. For example, it is applied maths and computer science specializations, and there we can get fundamental science, and we should learn maths stats. And I would recommend read KDD tutorial from Yandex, and if you want to learn some advanced methods and A/B testing, we could article from science sites. For example, it is Archive, Medium.
Medium is not that well known for science, being science, but still you could find something there. And what universities would you advise to go to? Could you name them? Which universities to go?
It is Moscow State University. It is one of the best university in Russia. We learn
maybe in the world.
Maybe world. And it is the best way to learn stats.
I think that the Russian Ministry of Education has to pay us for a good ad. But I would add to the list not also the Moscow State University, but also Moscow Institute of Physics Technology, and I think the Yandex School of Data Analysis, and perhaps Higher School of Economy, and especially a Faculty of Computer Science. And as far as I remember, in Kazan there is a university called Innopolis, and they have quite good Faculty of Computer Science as well, and Skoltech. Skoltech as well is quite good. So, and there are a lot of online tutorials, a lot of online courses, mostly for free. So if you'd like to dive in, pay attention to them and enjoy it. And another question I have to all of you, it's a basic question, and still there are two parts in this question. The first one, which challenges did you face during your career? And which challenges you think the person who is working in this field of A/B testing could face? I mean, it could be the person who just started the A/B testing, or who is not a newbie, but who has a moderate experience, 1, 2, 3 years. And probably these people have their own challenges, and you as gurus, or experts of the highest quality, you have another challenge. So I would love to hear what challenges and maybe how we could avoid them or solve them. So what do you think, Alex?
I faced with some challenges. First of them is big data. So you are not able to use bootstrap technique, because when you have petabytes of data.
Which some people sitting on this table doesn't like.
We'll ask them later.
What the bootstrap?
Then next problem is offline tests.
What is an offline test?
Offline tests, we can consider, for example, Google search. When you trying to optimize your offline metrics, for example, ranking metrics in DCG or MAPE, then it's just, we believe that they They are correlated with online metrics, with CTR, etc.
Or number of sessions for a user.
Or number of sessions, because usually managers are interested in online metrics.
In money.
In money, yes. It's also,
to be honest.
it's also an online metric, and it's a hard question how to optimize your online metrics in offline experiments. And the last one, each A/B test can be divided on 3 parts. Before test, preparation before test, during the
test period,
and after the test.
And well, the
analysis period.
Yeah, analysis period.
And
or calculation period.
Or calculation period. And most of papers are concentrated on the last part.
Calculation period.
On calculation period and how to estimate your
mean or how to estimate
your impact.
Your metric.
Yes. But the most problem in the first period, how to divide 2 groups or several groups.
How to prepare your data.
How to prepare it, because if you are not able to run properly your test,
everything else is wasted.
Yes.
That's true. You can't build the good building on the rubbish basics, on the rubbish foundations. So, and what do you think? What are the biggest challenge for you? Or what will the biggest challenge? Maybe you saw them and there are no challenge at this moment. And what do you think is the challenge? Are the challenges for people who are in A/B testing field?
Okay, of course, it is very good question. Of course, I talk about about my problem. It is problem with small data samples, and sometimes we cannot select similar groups for A/B testing. It is very big problem in the business company. But if we are thinking about difficulties, sometimes we cannot describe our manager why you cannot stop A/B testing in the middle of period. It is problem.
Picking problem.
It is picking problem from my
nurses.
From nurses.
Which is probably will be solved forever after the nurses presentation. We hope so.
And we should describe these problems and think about how we speak with our managers and directors, and it is very necessary to describe why it is important conducting A/B testing.
I think it's a general problem, not only yours. I think in many ways, how much time did you spend or your team spent for conveying the message that A/B testing is necessary for your managers? Are you still in the progress?
It is still in progress, but now we are conducting A/B testing in the all of majority
new launches
products, but it is very big problem for data scientists.
To explain why we need that. And you in X5, how much time had you need to, maybe you still need to convey the message that we need to run an A/B test?
We have spent almost 2 years.
2 years, that's a long time.
Yes, it is.
Well, I wouldn't pretend that I didn't hear about that, as I also work in X5, so we spent together 2 years. A long time together. And you, Narses, what do you think are the most challenging problem for a person who is doing A/B tests? And what are or what were the most challenging problem for you?
I think your questions are strongly connected, and I will.
I would say they're the same for all of you.
I will try to answer them from my experience. And there are two ways to look at the questions that you asked. The first one is when you came to the very big company where the A/B testing is just a practice and everyone
just
knows.
A tool.
Yes, it's just a tool to measure the effect of the new features. And the challenge here is to make it faster. There are a lot of talks actually from the previous DataFest, from other experts who who tell us how to make your A/B testing faster and to save money from it. And the second way to look at the questions that you have asked is actually to come to the company where A/B testing is not a tool. It's not used.
Not data-driven company.
Yes, and I
most,
think
most of the companies are not data-driven. To be honest.
Yes, and I think the biggest problem here is to build the system, to build the experimentation platform. And it's not just about business. There are a lot of technical things that are only known to the very good experts. And for example, creating split system, which we have talked about, today. This is a very important problem, and there are very few sources that talk about that.
Well, as far as I know, both you and Ilda, you're working in B2B segment and you work in B2C segment. And in your segment, one of the biggest challenges is the small amount of data, not that many businesses, and there are much more people. And there is a huge difference between the businesses, right?
Yes, so middle and large businesses.
What's the magnitude of the difference? Is it 10 times or 100 times or 1,000 times?
From 500,000 rubles to 4 billion rubles.
So 500,000 times 1,000 is 500 million, then times 10, so it's 10,000.
Yes.
It's magnitude of 4, so it's quite big. I think that there is a biggest challenge, one of the biggest challenge is to find out what you are doing. That's a biggest challenge. And I think there's a huge difference between a B2B A/B testing and B2C A/B testing, based on the nature. What do you think is the more complicated one? It's a B2B or B2C?
I would say that B2B because
I work in B2B.
Because in retail there are very small users and their metrics doesn't affect groups so much.
No outliers almost.
Yes.
Or we are not considering that outline comparison to.
And also I want to mention that even in B2B there are a lot of data because there are a few companies, but they do a lot of actions. They, for example, in the bank, they do FX, they place deposits in the banks. So there are a lot of things going on every day.
Second opinion. And what do you think, what is more complicated and difficult? Is B2B or B2C? Well, in terms of performing A/B tests and A/B tests.
There are different problems. Usually in B2C, you're trying to find really small improvement. So, and you should use variance reduction techniques, etc. But
a small improvement, could you specify what is a small improvement? What percentage is a small?
Less than 1%. And also, there is a problem that each shop has their own distribution and they are not consistent. Our groups are becoming different while we run the test.
So the groups are not consistent for a very long time.
Right.
For how long are they usually consistent?
It depends on methods you use.
On average.
On average.
Well, if you just found out that the group A and group B, and you stating that
the average is 2 months.
2 months, not 8 weeks. And Ilda, what do you think? What is more challenging? Is it in B2B or B2C?
Of course, it is B2B for me.
Okay, of course. What effect you are usually seeking for? So what effect is usually expected from A/B testing in terms of percentage? So is it increase in 0.1, 1.0 or 10.0?
It is about 1%,
1%,
maybe.
so the same. you don't have an edge here. So B2B, it depends. Okay, I see some correlation. Maybe it's not a causation, who knows. Still, anyway, A/B testing is quite a complicated field which involves almost everything: statistics, math, machine learning as well, Hilbert space. And what I would say, close your eyes. Imagine you work in a large company. Imagine you're responsible for A/B testing. You did a lot of A/B tests, and you did them in the right way. Your company now is even more successful, and you got promotion. Sounds better than in the beginning, doesn't it? And I would like to thank you for your attention, and I hope you will enjoy all the videos which you can find below this one. Have a great time.